None of this conversation should be taken as medical advice for you. Before starting or changing any medical or wellness treatment, always consult your GP and medical care team. And you are very welcome along to another episode of The Dose. And speaking of all things that are doses, Belinda.
How did I know you were going to say that?
You're some that's what our swag could be. You're some dose.
Some dose. Yeah.
You're some dose.
God, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, it would. Yeah. Be very
Paddy, I didn't ruin that intro. I was muted.
Well done. I'm glad you finally found the mute button. That would have been helpful the week you had 9 million sulfur burps and I had to try and edit them out. No, you do you. Don't worry about me. It's fine.
It's going to be a long, long podcast. Anyway, welcome to The Dose with myself, Belinda Hogan, and...
Me, Paddy. How are you?
How's it going?
Oh, great. How have you been since we last spoke?
About 10 minutes ago. Busy. Yeah, fuck. I'm constantly busy, Paddy. Constantly.
Yeah, you're constantly busy. Constantly busy. Sure, poor you.
Yeah.
Oh, little fiddle out. Blah,
but
blah,
I did.
blah.
No. I got two sessions in at the gym this morning. I was delighted with myself.
Yeah, that's good. Gluten-free sessions.
Gluten-free sessions, yeah.
You dope.
I know, it came up, I went to put up, I'm a glutton for punishment, and it came out as gluten-free punishment.
And as I said to you, it kind of was though, because you weren't sitting there eating bread.
I know.
You know?
I
Yeah.
wouldn't
So
have
if there's
minded,
any sulfur burps, mute button, yeah?
Oh God,
Mute
it's
button.
horrendous. I'm on the...
Peppermint tea.
Yeah. 15 milligrams and peppermint tea. I'm going to have to go and get peppermint oil capsules today.
Didn't ask you for any of this information.
Fucking. And also...
Didn't ask for your life story.
While I'm getting them, I'm going to get some more lion's mane supplements.
I don't know what kind of lines you're doing, but anyway.
It's for cognitive ability to improve.
I'm sure it is.
It is, and it's not goddamn working. I'm not taking enough of it.
Like that film Limitless. Oh, lion's mane. I get you.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thought we were a different conversation there.
Okay, get on with it, Paddy.
Oh, wow. Right, okay. So rare for us to have our guest in at the start of a podcast. Usually we will record our interview with the guest and then we'll do like the intro and outro kind of around that. But this week we wanted to embody our guest in the full podcast. Ashley O'Driscoll, how are things?
Welcome
to The Dose.
It's been a long time coming.
I'm telling you, how long have we been talking about this? Like, I think we've been talking about this for about 6 months now.
Yeah, probably.
We've finally sat down and organised a date now to do this. But I feel special that you're including me in the start. I feel very special.
You are special to us. Even never mind what everybody else says about you. You're special to us.
Thank you.
Well, Belinda, you're special too. Very.
I'm just going to put myself on mute now for the rest of this podcast.
Oh, thank God. It only took 6 months, 7 months for us to get there. Finally, I have my own podcast.
Was that your plan all along? Get traction with Belinda and then sack her.
Well, the plan originally was that I was going to do my own podcast by myself, and I had like the artwork and everything done for it.
Boring.
Called MJ and Me. That's and I had it all done. Yeah. It would have been better.
I agree.
Then I found you, and I was like, oh, do you know what? She'll give me breaks from talking.
Did she ever? MJ and Me. I like that.
You've increased my Don't anyone try and take that.
A nice ring to it. Got like alliteration to it.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, Ashley, you've also dabbled a little bit in podcasting, Ashley.
I have. I'm kind of embarrassed now because it was a bit of a flop. Like, I started it in November of 2023, I want to say. 2023? Yeah, no, 2023. And I think I recorded maybe 8 episodes up until November of 2024, and I have not. I've been meaning to. Ever since our show went out, I've been meaning to, sit down and do a deeper, get back into it, but I just haven't found the time. Hopefully I don't know, I get real nervous. Like, I get real, I just feel like it's a flop and nobody listens to it. And and there's so many podcasts.
It's only a flop because you haven't bloody well done it.
Yeah. I know.
You have to be consistent for it to work, you know?
Like it was my dream for so long, like, and I talked about it so much on social media, how I really want my own podcast. It's my dream. And then, you know, one of my social media friends, Robin, had said to me, she was just like, Ashley, what are you waiting for? Just do it. Like, and she gave me this kick up the ass one day, and I did, and I started recording. And I, you know, I got it on Spotify. I still couldn't believe, like, I was like, there's my name on Spotify and like Apple Podcasts. Like, what am I doing? Who am I? But no, I think I just need to bring it back. I think it's a lot easier though when you have a kind of like a partnership like you guys have, because you have to commit to it to sit down and record.
Yeah, it is easier, isn't it, Paddy?
Yeah, it's lovely.
What did I tell you about talking about me in public while I'm here?
I have to be sorry. I have to be nice. I have to be nice to your face. Only talk bad behind your back. Only talk bad behind your back. I've it stuck in a post-it. Only bitch behind Belinda, not in front. But we were saying this in one of the previous week's podcasts, though, that I don't know if people, when they're listening, understand like the amount of work that goes into it. Like, there's some people that have podcasts and they will go to their podcast studio. They'll have a team that is working with them to do the edits, to do the social media stuff. And like we do all this ourselves. Like,
it's the royal we. Like, I'm bogged down with this kind of work.
Actually, editing, all those hours of editing, Belinda.
How do you?
Does everybody know now, though? I know we joke about it. Does everybody know that the only piece of work that I do with any of this is sit in this chair, and when it's over, I walk away and I do nothing. I wait for it to come up and then I share it. I literally do nothing.
Yeah, I have bits of work to do. Yeah, week in, week out with the podcast.
He said the next time we meet, he said he's going to teach me how to do some editing, and I'm just not going to turn up at all.
Yeah, it's going to be like a month-long retreat because it's going to take that long. Okay, so Ashley.
Yes.
You are somebody who I don't know how I first crossed paths with you. Maybe through, I think it could have been through Belinda. I can't remember if she mentioned you. Kind of when I started my journey on trying to lose weight again. And obviously I saw your kind of reels and the one you've pinned about the amount of weight that you had lost and stuff. And obviously that was really inspirational to me. But for folks that maybe might not know who you are, fucking cheek, give us absolute cheek, the audacity.
How dare you not know who I am? I am
how
queen.
How dare they? But maybe I'd love to go back to maybe tell us as I do say sometimes to people, what is your elevator pitch in like say 10-15 seconds? Who are you, and what are you about in terms of your social media?
I am the girl who took a drug to lose weight, basically. When it first came out, I was one of the OGs on Ozempic for weight loss back in 2022. I took it and I started at 134 kgs and I'm now at 70. So that's I don't know, that's in stone, I think like 12 stone altogether. Wow. Like from start to finish, you know, obviously women weight fluctuates, but from start to finish 12 stone altogether.
Wow.
I literally went from this to this.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
And no more, like something that Belinda said to me recently, because I shared some old pictures of myself. And Belinda said, I just stop and look because I didn't realise that was you until then I copped, oh, that's old pictures of Paddy. I never knew Paddy when I was like that or seen him like that. And similarly, when I was looking through your Instagram and I looked through the older pictures of you, it is literally a different person.
Yeah, but even like facially, I would never have recognised you. It's such a drastic, and do you have an issue with that when you look in the mirror? Do you see a different person because you have changed physically so much?
Didn't think we were going to get into the emotional stuff so early on, but sure, let's start there. This is something that I do talk about quite regularly. Well, I have spoken about it. I haven't spoken about it in a while, but I did used to speak about this a lot. And how when you're on a weight loss journey like we've been on, it's not just about losing weight. There's loads of other aspects to it. And one of them is trying to recognize yourself, trying to see yourself as this new person with this new body, trying to adapt to this new body and trying to get used to the fact that you're not obese anymore. Because when you spent so long like I had, it's a huge change. And although it's a good change, there's also this psychological thing. So to answer your question, I still see myself as the old person, sadly. But it's a work in progress. Like I do, like sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, like where have I gone? Like I'm gone quite thin. Like, and then there's other times I'm like, I still see that big person. Like, I still need to do this. I still need to do that. It is a psychological thing. It is something that is part of losing weight that nobody seems to understand. See, people seem to think, oh, you've lost weight. Great. So you're finished. No, there's not really an end in sight. Like, this journey probably doesn't really ever end. You know, you're always going to be in this frame of mind as, you know, okay, have I accepted this? Have I accepted I've lost the weight? Have I accepted that I've got this new body now? Have I accepted it 3 years later? No, I haven't. And it's going to take years for me to be able to look in the mirror and be like, yeah, totally different person. I accept myself. I'm happy with the way I am. But at the moment.
Can you see something changing to make you feel that way? Do you think that there's something that's going to happen that's going to enable you to say, oh yeah, actually this is me and this is who I am now? And not look back or look in the mirror and say, oh my God, I still see Ashley from 4-5 years ago.
I think it's comparing photos. I think like when you have events, like for example, next month I have my twin nephews' first Holy Communion. Going down to Cork for that. And that'll be my first family event since I've lost weight. And they're my only nephews. I don't have any other ones. So like, it's a very special occasion. And I think that for me is going to be the catalyst that's going to change my mind, because the last family event we had was my daughter Chloe's confirmation, which was 5 years ago. So I'm going to obviously compare, like, that photo of me and my daughter's confirmation was my mum saying to me, holy God, look at you. Now, in the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
She was like, oh my God, you need to do something now. And that was just before I started on Ozempic. The photos that I'm going to have at the communion. So I'm going to compare them side by side. And I really do in my heart feel like that's going to be the catalyst. That's going to flip a switch in my mind and I'm like, now, time to accept it. And I think that's going to be it for me.
Do you think that you're going to say to yourself, okay, I'm done now? Okay, so these are the two photographs. This is what I was, and this is what I've wanted. And now, are you done?
No. Again, this is something that, like, I spoke, I think, a little bit about this on our show that myself and Paddy did last month, on the documentary. And I do speak a little bit about it online, but I've kind of pulled back from speaking about this publicly simply because of backlash I was getting, which, as you guys know, when you appear on shows and stuff, it comes with the territory. I don't think I'll ever be done. I don't think I'll ever be 100% happy. I think having skin removal surgery will probably be the closest I will get to being happy. Don't know if that's ever going to happen because, as we all know, it's astronomically priced in this country. But I do think that's going to be the closest. When that happens, that'll be the closest I'll get to being happy with. Like right now, I still, like, if the weather wasn't like this, I'd be going out walking, be going out running, because I like to do my fitness, but I also like to make sure that I'm working hard to maintain. I would like to lose some more weight. Although a lot of people would disagree with me there and say, no, you've done enough. You're perfect the way you are. You know, you should be happy. You've got a healthy weight, a healthy BMI. But no, I'm not done. No,
and
okay.
I'd love to loop back to that in a few minutes. Sure. But what I'll do now, I want to go back a bit. So if we think about Ashley, who was in school, a teenager, were you somebody who was overweight then?
That's a long time ago to try and remember.
Or what was those younger years like for you? Or when did you start thinking of, oh, my weight now, this is something that is in my mind for some reason?
So when I was younger, like, I was never, a modernistic, slim figure. I always had like a little bit of puppy fat, let's say, when I was, 12, 13, 14. I do remember when I was about 10 or 11. Now, when I lived at home, we had this big, huge green across from our house, and all the boys and girls would go out and play. We used to play like Tip the Can, Red Rover, we'd use curbs, all those old things before phones and all. And I do remember the lads when we were playing would slag me and be like, and they called me 10-ton Tessie. I wasn't that big. Like, I was only probably a size, I don't know, like, I was, like, I'm trying to remember, but I wasn't huge, but I had a little bit of puppy fat, like we all did when we were 10 and 11. Like, every kid does. They used to call me 10-ton Tessie, and then they used to sing a little chant, and they used to be like, there she blows, 10-ton Tessie, earthquake. And I'd be like, what's going on here? Like, what the fuck? Like, so that was the first kind of memory I had of ever having any kind of what weight is. Do you know what I mean? It didn't bother me. Went through secondary school, was very, very sporty throughout school, never ever thought about weight like kids do now at that age. And it was only kind of when I got into maybe 19, 20, 21, and that was when I met Chloe's dad. I started putting on a little bit of weight then because we'd go out, we'd have takeaways, that and the other. I fell pregnant then at 22, unexpectedly. Best thing to ever happened to me, light of my life. But that's where it all really started. Was, it was already starting before then, but nowhere near as bad as it was when I got pregnant. And was always told when I like pregnancy now and pregnancy back then, totally two different worlds. And we were always told back then, breast is best. You know, you breastfeed when you have your baby, you lose all the baby weight very quickly because you're breastfeeding. So I had Chloe, had a story for another day, very, very traumatic birth, and tried to breastfeed and couldn't. The nurse came in like 3 o'clock in the morning, took Chloe off me, gave her a bottle, gave her a top up. That was it. Breastfeeding was gone. So that was kind of like I'm going to lose the weight now. Like I'm after, you know, I was humongous on Chloe. I mean, like I was like, you'd think I was having triplets. I carried like a lot of water and stuff. But for the years after that, like I tried, like, and it just escalated and escalated. My whole 20s was just like, wait. It was just, it was just gaining. And I don't know where it was coming from. And nobody knew where it was coming from. Even my doctor, I was going to my doctor and I was like, what is going on? Well, at the time, doctors believed in, you know, eat less, move more, cut out carbs, cut out potatoes, cut out pasta, you know, all that kind of stuff. And that's what he said to me. He's like, cut out all this, don't have any carbs, and this is how you lose the weight. No, that's not how it didn't work at the time, obviously. And it just escalated and escalated and escalated. And 35 before I know it, I was 35 and I was 22 stone and a BMI of 42 and heading for a heart attack.
Yeah. And so a couple of things there in relation to the complications with the birth and with breastfeeding. That was any of that weight related, or was that all non-weight related?
It was never brought up. It was never said this is because you're overweight, or no, it was never.
Okay.
I think I just got very unlucky during my labour. You know, the birth was very, very traumatic. You know, I ended up having to get like basically a lot of stitches.
Yeah.
You know, and afterwards got infections and stuff, was in and out of hospital. I was trying to look after a newborn. I was 22. I was a baby having a baby.
Yeah.
And the last thing when you're that young and you're having a baby and you've had a baby, you've come home, the last thing you're going to think about is healthy eating, because you just want to grab something quick because, you know, you're on a schedule with the baby, whatever. And it just escalated. But no, at the time they never said anything that I went through was as a result of being obese.
And then so during that period then of the 20s, a new mum, worrying about trying to bring up, you know, a little young one, your weight is increasing itself. Apart from the doctors kind of saying, you know, eat less, move more, avoid the potatoes. Imagine telling an Irish person, avoid potatoes. Like, come on.
And bread.
Don't eat your natural
over.
food. Yeah.
Like a mashed potato, a little bit of Kerrygold is like, oh.
Perfect diet.
Yeah, lovely. But at that point then, or around that kind of part of your life, had you tried any other weight loss stuff yourself, like any groups or any kind of plans or anything like that? Or like, was it just that initial conversation with the doctor was like, okay, hey, you need to try this, something?
I did do Slimming World like when I was well before I had Chloe. So it was probably like, I couldn't even tell you when. It was probably 16, 17, 18, around that time. I remember going to Slimming World. Remember, you had your little book. You used to go up and you used to get weighed at the top. You know, it wasn't Sins back then. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't Sins back then. And it was, I done, so Weight Watchers or Slimming World. Anyway, it was one of them that I had done. No, didn't like.
Did it not have any impact on your weight at all, even following the plan?
No, not that I can remember. Like, I just remember, like, I remember, like, thinking back now, if I'd have known now what I knew then, life would be a huge difference. It'd be totally different. I didn't realize then that I had what we now know as a metabolic adaptation, that it's nearly physically impossible for someone like us who has this medical condition to lose weight naturally. And if I'd have known that then, I would have saved myself a lot of stress and a lot of hassle. But we didn't know that was the thing.
Yeah, but also being told that you can literally eat unlimited amounts of certain foods like that. I was the same as you. I never, ever, ever lost any weight with Weight Watchers or Slimming World or anything like that. You know, I sat and cheered my best friend on at the time who lost 8 stone, and I lost, I think, 20 pounds in the time that she lost the 8 stone. You know, so yeah, and I was doing the plan, like I was doing it exactly the same as she was doing it. But just goes to show, doesn't it? Proves the point, really. Like
it's like, I know we have spoke about slimming groups. They come up like very frequently on different episodes and stuff like that. And myself and Melinda have slightly different experiences of them over the years. But again, I'd always come back to, I think a lot of that comes back to some of the group leaders that I've had and the actual how amazing as a person some of the group leaders I've been fortunate to have. But like I remember like I will gain weight very quick, but I also lose weight quite quick as well. Any attempt I've done, that is my pattern. I know that. For me, the issue had always been the relapsing. Always been, as soon as I'd lose the weight, I'd quickly relapse again. But I remember sometimes I'd be like, Because like I'd be weighing myself at home before the weigh-in at the slimming group, like, and I'd kind of know, oh, I'm doing 3 pounds this week. Oh, there's a good chance I might get slimmer for the week. Oh, I'm gonna go and get the clap, and I'm gonna go get, and they're all gonna be livid at me in group because I get slimmer of the week again. And like I would regularly, particularly when I lived in England, and when I used to go to like group there, I would like regularly win slimmer of the week every week or like every month. And then it kind of got to the point where I was like, these people are really going to hate me, so I'll just start missing some weeks. So I will, but it's gas. The whole mindset around slimming groups for
Is
various.
that was that
It's
always
fascinating.
true for you though, Paddy? Was it always easy for you to lose the weight, to shed the pounds? But
So I'm not going to say it was easy because I was putting in effort, but I'd
yeah,
say I always did lose weight relatively quickly.
when
It
you
was,
put in the effort.
yes, it was
Yeah.
always then though the instant relapse. I could never try and keep it off, or yeah, I could never maintain
Mm.
and then being able to deal with that relapse if something happened. It was always a case of back to food and instantly back into that spiral, of just eating again,
Mm.
because it's what my body was like, oh no, you want to eat, go eat, you want to eat, go eat. And again, the food noise would win. The food noise would win. That's, I
Every
guess,
time.
every
Every time.
time the
And
food noise would win.
and you would have fought and fought and fought
Oh,
against it,
and
wouldn't you?
that's what, during the weight loss, it was a constant thing of me going against the grain to lose that weight, constant effort to try and lose that weight. So yes, it was like, just, yeah. Anyway, um okay, so that kind of brought you into your 20s, and at that time, Ashley, had anyone else ever, first of all, I want to go back to, kids can be so cruel, like,
Yeah, it always stuck with me. Like it's there's probably loads of things that was said to me, or
yeah.
said, but that is the one thing. 10 ton Tessie, here comes the earthquake. Like anytime I moved, it was like, and they called me a whale, and I was like, I don't understand what's going on here. Like, why are you saying, like, you are lads that are the same age as me? Like, why are you saying all this? And I even said to my mum, like, obviously my mum has a way better memory of my childhood than me, and I said to her a while ago, I was like, was I really big? And she was like, no, you weren't huge. Like, you weren't. You had puppy fat, but like every kid at 11 or 12, pre-teens, pre-pubescent, you've got to carry puppy fat. And she was like, you would have lost that going into your teenage years. And I did. And it was just puppy fat. It was just pre-pubescent. And then when I hit puberty, I went into secondary school. I played hockey throughout the whole time in secondary school, and I played club level as well. And I was doing athletics, and I done cross country. And I wasn't obese then because I was active. I was very, very active, and I was running around, and and it was only kind of like later on in my teenage years where it all came back. It's weird the way it happened. It's weird. But yeah, kids are cruel.
They're really cruel. And did you have that taunting even when you were being active and you were doing all that sport and all of that?
Not really, because when I was doing all this, I was in an all-girls secondary school, and I was quite lucky and I was quite lucky, like, because it was a private secondary school. I was like, well, I mentioned the name. I was like, I better not, just in case, because some people would be like, I remember her from school. It was all girls, like, and there was no real bullying. Like, they were lovely. Like, there was about 300 of us, great group of girls. Everyone got on. There was no, like, I can't really say there was, I remember this girl getting bullied. No, there was nothing. Everyone was lovely. Nothing was ever said to me about my weight throughout my secondary school. I knew it myself, because I knew, like, looking at some of the girls and looking at me, and I'm like, why are they thinner than me? Why are they able to wear this and I'm not? But I wasn't like gigantor. Do you know what I mean? I was a bit heavier, but not to the extent where I was like, I need to, not as a teenager, not to the extent where I was like, oh, letting ideas get into my head,
Yeah.
need to lose weight, need to do this, need to do that. Like, I'm only just thinking back now, like, and I remember some of my coaches that I would have trained with in school were actually friends of mine, and they lived near me. And like, we used to always, like, they'd bring me to school, they'd collect me from school because they lived around the corner, especially after trainings, going to matches and stuff. And we were all the same, like, especially playing hockey. Like, when you're playing hockey, you kind of have to have a little bit of weight on you, because you have to be kind of stronger. You're running up and down a pitch all the time, but we were all kind of the same. Like, I wasn't hugely bigger than anyone else. So I was like, where did this all come from? And it's only kind of when I think about it that it was something that was building up over the years. And I didn't know I had this. And I didn't know that, like, when I turned 18, 19, 20, that I was going to get bigger. And I didn't know because you see so many people who have babies even young, even now, and they're having babies 22, 23. 6 months after they had the babies, they're like that. And I'm like, why wasn't that
God, not even 6 months. It's like nearly immediate now, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's like they
but
always told us.
we
No, go on,
never
Becky.
had the social media pressure either, Ashley, and that has an awful lot to do with it now. Do you know what I mean? Because if there's one single thing wrong or different about you now, it's pointed out and it's just you're just harassed over it. You know, so
Like, you can't win
different
with social
times, yeah,
You cannot win. Like, you post your journey in the hopes of helping, inspiring, motivating people. And, you know, I'm all about let's get a whole community together. Let's get out there. Let's get active, especially with the summer. Let's get out walking. Let's, you know, let's get everyone around to just get out and just great for the mental health. I was too fat when I was posting about how big I was. I was huge, like, and then this is what I was told. And then I lose all the weight and I post that, oh, now you're too thin. Oh, now you're promoting thinness. You're promoting bad body image. And it's like,
oh my God, yeah.
I can't win here. Like, I'm just trying to be here and be this person. And I don't know.
But
if maybe-
I think the thing that we have to remember is you're not trying to win against anybody. You're not, you know, other people's opinions shouldn't really matter to us because nobody else is living your life. Nobody else has walked in your shoes and nobody else realizes what and how much hard work that you have put in to get yourself from A to B, you know, so it's hard to block it out, but when you do, you find it a bit funny in the end. I certainly do anyway.
It's wild. I just find
Yeah.
it wild how these people are keyboard warriors, they're strangers, and they're coming for your appearance. And it's 2025. We should be in a world, and it's women coming for women.
Yes.
Mainly. And I'm like, whatever happened to empowering women and, you know, building each other up? And wild.
And
That's actually like, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not just women coming for women though. Like I get this too in terms of where it is. I had a thing a couple of years ago whereby I put something up and about having regained weight, and I'd always be amazed, particularly when it's somebody local, because I'm like, you could meet me walking up the street, and is this? Would you come and say this to my face? Yeah. Like, but there was somebody that was local and put up this thing on, no way would somebody who's a personal trainer let themselves get that fat again. No way, it's ridiculous. And I was just like, oh my God. And I remember just thinking, and then I go in and look at who is this person friends with, and you're like, how are my friends with somebody that would be like this? And it's just, yeah. I just.
Like, I don't know if anyone's noticed, like if you guys have noticed or if anyone else that follows me has noticed, but I pulled back a lot on social media in the last month.
Yeah.
I've barely posted. I've barely been on my stories. I think I posted like 2 reels. Like, I kind of just wanted to keep my page going. So I posted one there last night. It was the first one I posted in like 10 days. I think it kind of gets to a stage where when you get so much shit online, you kind of just retreat back into yourself and, you know, you just kind of like take a break. Like, it's always good to take a break.
Ashley, do you feel like you have that social media is a pull for you when you're not posting because you're trying to take a break? Do you feel any guilt from not posting, or do you miss it, or do you miss it in a positive way or a negative way? Or
like, when I say I take a break, I mean, like, I say I take from posting like reels and maybe my stories, but I'm still on it. Like, I'm still on Instagram every day, checking on everyone else and liking other stuff, like just kind of keeping it open. I do feel terrible guilt because I feel like
even pressure to post.
Not so much pressure, just kind of like you just feel guilty because, you know, all these people are like, I'm at 9.5K now, and my goal was 10K at Christmas, didn't happen, and I'm so close to that now, and I'm like, got 10,000 people nearly watching me. I have over 1,000 people in my stories, and if I'm not posting or I'm not giving updates, I kind of feel like, well, I'm letting people down because it's like when you watch a show, you tune in to see what's going to happen next, and then if you don't find out what's going to happen next, you're going to be like, well, fuck you, I'm not watching you again. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it kind of feels like with social media sometimes, is that like people are following along for your journey. People are following along to watch what you're doing with your life. But what we also need to remember is social media is not real, because what you see on social media is a snippet. It's a 10-second or 90-second clip of someone's life. If someone doesn't post about something that's going on in their life, it's because they don't want you to know about it. But what you do post, it's only a snippet. And I just think a lot of people don't really realize that. And when you do go missing or you do not post, people do notice. And people are like, well, is everything okay? I just need a break. Like, there's a lot obviously going on with my health as well. And in my personal life, I was like, I just need to take a break. I just needed to not be hated on for like a couple of weeks.
It's interesting what people latch on to as well. I do find on social media as well, like in terms of things you might even have thought of yourself and things like this. Like someone asked me recently, and again, they weren't asking me from a bad thing, but again, it's just, I do find it interesting what bit of what you put out online people take an interest in, because somebody messaged me and they're asking, you mention your partner, your husband, but you rarely show him. Why? And I was kind of like, well,
I remember this. Yeah.
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 I was kind of like, well,
why should I?
Yeah, it's like, well, he's his own person. I have at times, the odd time, I'll put up a picture, so it's not an intentional thing of, I'll never show him. It's more so a case of, he doesn't really use social media. He has the right to his privacy and his kind of bits and pieces like that. But it's not a case of me not wanting to show him or the stuff like that. It's just this page that I have is more just with me and my journey and sharing the bits and pieces like this. Another wild one I got was somebody hating on me because of my teeth. So they did. Now I know I'm missing teeth, and it's something that I would love at some point to be able to get my teeth done. But again, that was I was like, I've
had that as well. I've literally had a DM saying, "Fix your goddamn teeth."
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah,
it's mad.
Who do people think they are that they think it's okay to message a stranger online and say something so derogatory to them? Like,
yeah,
I would never. Like, I could never comprehend, even before I did social media, I could never comprehend saying that to somebody. Like,
yeah, it's mad.
It's wild.
The thing is, like, with the kind of haters or whatever you get them now, thankfully, as we said in a recent podcast, well, Belinda, like, for the most part, the people that engage with us are phenomenal and so supportive and like rooting for us. And like, even this week where I put up, a weight loss update and stuff like that, the amount of DMs that I got saying well done and support, and like, it's just so warm. It's just amazing. Like, and even with the podcast, like the messages we get is just so heartwarming. And it's that small few that make you question at times about, fuck, is this worth it? Is there other people think of this, or is this really what's going on out there? Or
and I used to be like that as well, Paddy, and I just don't know, something just flicked in me. I think, I was when I read the book Let Them by Mel Robbins. Yeah. And after that, I just thought to myself, you're going to have to sort this shit out now in your mind if you want to continue doing what you're doing and growing on social media. And then I just thought to myself, nothing I can do about that. So let them. Yeah.
Literally, fuck it. Yeah. And that's I usually use it as an opportunity now to make content or to rip the piss them.
Yes, good content. Yeah. I love taking the piss out of them. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what social media influencers are doing now? They're actually doing a deep dive into trolls' lives and posting it all on social media. It's amazing. I think I'll do that maybe for my next troll. So watch out if you've got any intentions of doing that.
I've one or two I can. Yeah, I've one or two I can send your way, but I think you're
we all three of us have one in common, actually. Yeah,
we do, and we're not going to mention any names, but we do have one in common. And what's absolutely mind blowing to me, and I always bring this back to myself and Paddy when we appeared on The Skinny Jab with Catherine Thomas last month, our documentary that aired, and one of the things that I had said. One of the things I had said in the documentary, and I was open and I was honest, was my weight started at the big epitome, like where most of my weight gain started was when I was pregnant at 22. I also spoke about my teenage years like I have with you guys, but it was mainly that's when it got the worst. And I was told by said person online in comments, that was when it was posted everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, oh, she's a liar. Her weight didn't start her weight didn't start from when she was pregnant.
I remember this.
Yeah, and I remember saying to you guys, and I'm like, this is wild to me. This person has never met me, has spoken to me. Yeah, okay, we've spoken a few times on lives and stuff back in 2022, 2023. But you've never met me, and you did not know me when I was 22. You did not know me 16 years ago. So, like, it's wild. Yeah. And every single time.
But your photographs show exactly where you came from and where you've been.
You've got the
really
receipts.
Do.
As we were saying recently.
The receipts, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I have video. I have mountains of footage of me when I was morbidly obese. Like, why would I lie about my weight loss?
Yeah. I've got very few photographs of myself. Very, very few from when I was overweight. Yeah, and it's something that I'm sorry about now because I'd like to do the comparison thing. Paddy, you've got so many photographs. You've got loads.
I took loads, and loads of videos, and it wasn't for anyone to ever see. It was just for me, because I knew one day I was going to do this. I knew one day I was going to lose weight. I knew it was going to happen one day. But those videos and those photos that I have never saw the light of day, but they're fucking seeing the light of day now, let me tell you, when I'm doing comparisons, because it's a huge difference.
Yeah, because like I never liked, like if you look at most of the photos I have, they're usually just from like chest up. Because I don't like full body pictures, and I said this to Ashley recently. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with like full length pictures, but
And I gave out to you over this, didn't I?
yeah, it's just and like someone even said this week in one of the question boxes, "Oh, please share more of your before and after pictures because it is motivating." But like I would just want the ground to open up and swallow me anytime I seen a camera coming out or if a photo had to get done for something. I remember doing there was an Irish clothing brand and they asked me would I do a piece for them, and meeting them, and they'd asked, "Oh, what kind of size top would you be?" And I said, "Oh, what's the biggest you do?" Literally, like that was my answer. "What's the biggest you do?" And they're like, "Oh, we've double XL." I was like, "Yeah, that should kind of go on me." And I put it on. It was like it was spray painted on me, like absolutely, literally, nearly spray painted on me. And the fear I had that they were going to take a full length photo and use it in their publicity was like, I was like, this is, I'm just, I can't be dealing with this now. They didn't. But the wild thing is, right, I still have that top and I tried it on this week. Now it's a double XL. It's still spray painted onto me. It does not close. So what I want to bring this back to is at times clothing and clothing sizes also feeds into, and the inconsistency in clothing sizes feeds into some of the negativity that we think about ourselves as well. Because I know like this top I'm wearing now is a Gymshark one. This is a large, and like Gymshark is a fitness brand. It's not a clothing brand necessarily for big. They do larger sizes, and it's something I really appreciate about them. But like this is a large. So for me to go and put on a double XL hoodie and it doesn't, or zippy, and it doesn't fit me at all, like that could wreck your head, like if you kind of sat with that about what you're telling yourself and feed into negativity and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, that was a little tangent just on when it was coming to my head about like, you know, being kind to yourself even when you're clothes shopping as well, because sometimes you might be a medium, but then there could be another time in another brand you could be a double or a triple XL, and that doesn't mean you're any fatter. It just means that that brand just sizes differently. So it does. But anyway, so Ashley, take us through to have the conversation with your doctor, lay off the spuds. Bring us into your 30s then. What was life like, or what's life like moving into that period? Or how did living with weight develop for you?
Can we just ask how old you are, Ashley? I never asked.
I'm 38. I'll be 39 now in July. 40 next year. I keep saying I'm 40 next year, and everyone's like, "You're not even 39 yet." I was like, "No, I'm 40 next year."
And look at Belinda. Like Belinda's 50, so like.
Belinda, give him a smack. Give him.
Next time I see him, girl.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I am 50 next year, and this is the least I've ever been bothered about my age.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Isn't it
give
brilliant?
a shit. Yeah.
Isn't it brilliant?
Oh, I love it.
I would have said, I didn't know that now. I would have said most you're only about 40, 41. I can't believe you're 50.
Yeah.
You look very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Ashley,
you're doing well as well, actually.
Ashley, have you gone to Specsavers?
I just snort.
It's better than Sulfur Pearls.
Specsavers, if you were listening, we are definitely open for a collaboration.
How do you put up with this?
Constant.
Get away with it.
Do you know what he said to me today? And I was so pissed off I had to put it up on social media.
The WhatsApp.
He bought himself something really, really nice because he lost nearly 100 pounds or whatever. Yeah. And
you can say it by the time this goes out.
Yeah. And I said, "Oh my God, look at the price of that." And do you know what he said to me? He said, "What did you say, Paddy?"
Because I chose not to spend it on kids.
I saw that. I was like, "You cheeky fucker."
Joys of the gay lifestyle.
Dink. You know, you're a dink. You're dinks. Isn't that what they call it? Double income, no kids? Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Do you want to live the life, though? Double income, no kids. You want to have weekends away every weekend.
You should see the amount of money we spend on the cat. Like,
Here we go again.
No.
Have 3 bloody children and 2 dogs and then come back to me.
I have
yes.
one child, but I've got 2 dogs, and let me tell you, it's a struggle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
It's like having 3 kids.
if I go to the doctor,
No, Paddy.
it's-
No, we're
no,
not.
wait.
We're not having
it's
it. No.
It's €6. I have the mute button here. You don't. If
You have a dink.
there, she's muted. So like, if I go, if I go to the doctor,
Take her home for you.
if I go to the doctor, it's like what, €60. If I bring the cat to the vet, it's like
know.
it's about 300.
I know. And that's just
I'll
for a
unmute her now.
consultation.
You're back, Belinda.
You're back with us. You're so
Just-
cruel.
I can't tolerate it. I just can't tolerate it.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm also banking on like the few birthday cards, like with the few quid in them. So that's also...
What is it you said to me? You posted a story once and I said something to you and you're like, oh no, yeah, no, you had done a question box last week or something. And oh yeah, you done a question box. I can't remember what the question box was, but I said to you, have more confidence, start taking more after photos. And then he replied with a video and he was like, oh, I'll send a tenner to you in the post, or I'll Revolut to a tenner. So I replied in the message and I was like, no, I'll take 50 times.
Yeah.
Still waiting for that €50.
Anytime anyone pays compliments, like, yeah, here, £5 on the way. But anyway, yeah.
Where were we?
I don't know. We were
Yeah,
Your
we're-
30s. You were going to go into your 30s.
I'd love to go back into my 30s. Can I tell you?
Same. Actually, no, feck it, I wouldn't. No way.
Like, this Scott. My 30s was a hard decade. When I hit 30, like I turned 30, I remember I didn't have a 30th. I was going through something with someone at the time, and it was basically a breakup, and they took me out for my 30th birthday for a meal. That was the last time I saw them. It was just my 30th. When I hit my 30, it was a very hard time. I was big and I was vulnerable. I had just had my heart broken and I never got closure. 8 years later, I still haven't got my closure. But like, that's the past. And when I turned 31, I moved in here. So I'm 8 years here now. I was on my own for a year here with just me and Chloe, and it was great. You know, I thrived. I did everything that I could to be the best mum that I could, but I was miserable. Deep down, I was miserable. I was very, very down. I was very depressed. I had no life. I have one friend and she's all I need. Like, most people could have 10 or 20 friends. Robin is all I need. My best friend, Robin. O'Farrell, love her. She's my sister. She really helped me get through. But I remember we'd be going out for drinks or whatever. And Robin was always a beautiful, like she still is, beautiful figure, porcelain doll, absolutely stunning. And here's me standing beside her like this. And she never made me feel like, oh, you know, you're big and I'm not, blah, blah. She always loved me for no matter what size I was. And she always made sure that I knew how much of an amazing and special person I was. But when you're going through something like what I was going through, you just feel like there's no end in sight. You just kind of feel like, am I always going to be like, I felt like I was smothered by my weight. And then I met Dylan. Now, like Paddy, we were talking earlier about how people were saying to you about you not having your partner. I don't even people know that I'm engaged. I don't think people know that I've been engaged the last 5 years. And he actually proposed to me on September 11th, 2020 at a waterfall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Memorable.
And obviously when I lost all the weight, I lost my engagement ring as well because it was too big. Like, I still have it obviously, but I can't wear it because I think maybe in 3 fingers I could put it on. But it was a hard time for me those years. And I remember, a lot of people won't know this either, but I was drinking pretty heavily. You know, COVID hit and all anyone was doing was drinking, but I was drinking heavily. Like, I was, you know, not like to the alcoholic state, but like every weekend I'd be having beer bottles when I was smoking as well. I was a heavy smoker, and combine that with 22 stone weight loss, or 22 stone weight. It was a really, really hard time, and never ever thought that I'd see the day where I'd lose the weight. And October of 2021, I started to lose my hair. This is something that I've never spoken about. So there's a first for everything. And I'm trying so hard not to get emotional. 2021, I lost my hair. I don't know, was it because of years of dyeing and bleaching? I was blonde, I was red, I was black, I was purple, you name it.
Stress as well is a huge
It was
factor.
mainly stress. I
Yeah.
must show you some of the photographs, and basically it got to the stage one night where I'd lost so much of my hair that like literally had nothing here. And I just said to
Wow.
Dylan, get the razor. I can't do this, get the razor. My hair was as long as it is now. And he shaved my head. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, okay, this is insane. Like, I can't believe after everything I've just been through in the last 3 years that now I've lost my hair. Because to a woman, your hair is like everything. Your hair is like
It's your crown.
it's your crown. It's everything. You don't have your hair. You feel like you've lost everything. So I shaved my head anyway. And I remember then in January of 2022, it was his mum's birthday. We all went out to the pub, and here's me sitting there in a jacket and a hat. Nobody knew. Nobody. Absolutely nobody knew. And then in it just kind of like escalated, and I'd already felt really shit in myself because of my weight and because of being isolated with COVID. And, you know, I had nothing. I had
And
nobody.
then your hair went.
My hair went. And when you're huge and then you're bald at the same time, it was just like, I was like, how am I ever going to recover from this? How am I ever going to come back from this? And I never thought I was. And I cried for days, and I was in a really deep state of depression. You know, I wasn't medicated, like I wasn't going on antidepressants or anything, but I was in a bad way. And I just didn't know how I was ever going to come out of it. And then obviously 2022 came around, and June of 2022 was when I went to my doctor. You know, I just sat there and I just said to him, I've had enough of this life. I've had enough of being like this. Nothing fits me. I cannot go anywhere out to eat. I can't go anywhere nice. I can't go out drinks. I can't have a life. And that's when he said to me, right, well, I was like, can we just try Ozempic before weight loss surgery? And he had put me on the list for weight loss surgery while writing me a prescription for Ozempic. And the rest you all know, the rest is history. But the 30s, I'd love to go back and I'd love to relive my 30s, and I'd try and do it differently. But then again, everything happens for a reason. And everything that I went through when I was 30 with my relationship breaking up, and obviously now I'm kind of glad it did, because I met Dylan. And if I hadn't broken down, I wouldn't have met Dylan. If I hadn't have moved here, I wouldn't have met Dylan. Story for another day. And everything happens for a reason. But the 30s is meant to be one of the best times of your life. It's meant to be where you peak in your life, and you start, living your life, and you start doing all these things. When you're meant to get married, you're meant to have kids, and if that's what you want, you're meant to have your home, you're meant to go traveling, your dream job.
That's all you were thinking. I don't have any of that. Yeah. And not only have you got none of that, but you have less. Like there's a deficit even more in having the weight and having your hair loss. And
it felt like my life was literally slipping away from me, and my life was ending. And I didn't know how I was ever going to come back from it. And it's a story that a lot of people don't know, because it's not something I'm very open about speaking. I know I had just spoken about it now, and I know everyone that listens to your podcast is going to hear about it now. And that's fine, because I chose to share that. But I haven't chose to share that part of my life on social media because, again, the person that I'm talking about in question, that I went through the most traumatic thing I've ever been through. We don't have any contact. Obviously, we're out living separate lives, but I don't know if he watches my social media. I don't know if he doesn't follow me, but I don't know if he knows about anything that I've done since then. And I don't want to drag him through the past by talking about something we experienced, because it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's also something that, unfortunately, I kind of swept it under the carpet and, forgotten about it. We tried to forget about it, but I never actually dealt with it. And it's a trauma. It is a trauma that I went through. And it's something that dragged through my 30s and caused a lot of my problems and a lot of my depression. But my weight was the biggest one. But it was your weight, my hair loss, and then going through that. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, but you're in a new relationship now the last 7 years. Why are you even still thinking about it? Because I went through a trauma that I never got closure from and I never got healed from. And then my obesity.
So there's a couple of things there I'd love to try and lean into a little bit. Also, for people that are listening, if you're hearing licking,
it's my dog.
Ashley's dog.
Sorry.
Just in case people are listening,
I thought
they're
that
like,
was a cat.
Yeah, no, and people are like, what is that noise? It's Ashley's cute little doggy has run into has run into the studio. But so a couple of things there. So the first thing I'd love to ask is that initial. So this was before medically supported weight loss journeys were really prevalent as they are now, I guess. What when you said to your doctor about, I need help, yada yada, how did the weight loss surgery, that was something the doctor said to me before as well. They said the only support I'm going to give you is bariatric surgery. This was like late 2000s, that was said to me. Or Orlistat, which is Enicol, which
that as well, awful.
Yeah. How did the conversation about Ozempic go? Like, were they receptive to it? And also, was it challenging back then to try and get access to it, either even from the pharmacy or stuff like that? Because obviously we know that, like, last year in particular, and like there was a lot of talk about Ozempic and access to it and stuff. What was it like back then?
So at the beginning, it was grand. It was nothing like it is now. Like when I went to him, Ozempic was only just very, very brand new. No one really knew about it. Like I was one of the first few people to go on it for weight loss. And it was great. And then obviously as as time went on and as I started talking about it more and more, more people started coming out of the woodwork, let's say, and started going on the same journeys. What kind of happened then was that's where the shortages came from, because everybody was using Ozempic for weight loss. There was no Manjaro Wegovy at the time. It was just Saxenda and Ozempic for at least a year. And the shortages were just insane. You could not get this medication anywhere. I had to travel I live in Dublin, in Dunleary. I had to travel down to Portlaoise every single week just to get my medication. So I had to drive all the way down, which is an hour and a half, 2 hours, 50 euro on petrol there and back, say. Every month. And then buy my medication as well. And like, I was doing it because I needed to do it. And I got so much shit. I got so much stick online from people saying, oh, this is huge. You shouldn't be getting it for weight loss. Pharmacists were saying to me, I was going in, what are you using it for? Like, I'd be like, I'm using it for weight loss. Well, I can't give it to you then. It's prescribed for me by a medical professional.
I spoke about this to a couple of pharmacists online and in person. And the thing is that they were given a directive from the HSE not to, and that's all fine.
Well.
But the problem that I had with it was how they were handling it, how their customer services skills went down the fucking toilet.
Yeah.
And they were so mean and so rude and so insensitive about all of it. Instead of taking somebody aside and saying, actually, do you know what? We have a directive. We're not allowed to give it out. And then going on to say, instead of saying that, absolutely not, like what you just said. What are you taking it for?
It got so thick around this time because, you know, so many people were coming, oh, but the diabetics need it more. And I was like, okay, let me just give you a little example here. Let me just do a little comparison. You have type 2 diabetics. It's like getting so passionate. You have type 2 diabetics that need Ozempic to control their blood sugar, but yet there's 75 other medications to treat type 2 diabetes. Then you have the weight loss people who need this medication to control their weight. If they don't have it, they're at risk of gaining weight. Therefore, they're at risk of relapsing back into their medical condition. And that's another thing. Prevention is better than cure. I prevented myself from getting type 2 diabetes by taking Ozempic for weight loss, and nobody could understand that at the time. Everybody was coming for me left, right, and centre, and I stood my ground, and I was being that voice.
But I get where you're coming from, Ashley. I 100% get where you're coming from. And I do think, again, that it was the way it was handled. It was done really, really badly.
Such a brand new thing at the time. I think if this was to happen now, it would be a totally different situation. Nobody would have to face what we had to go through back then.
Yeah.
I think it would be a totally different situation. But I also do think that as well, it had a lot to do with stigma, because and I've said this so many times, and again, I get so passionate when I talk about this. But if Ozempic was used to take type 2 diabetes out of the equation for a second, forget that Ozempic was ever used to treat that. Say Ozempic was used to treat something else other than obesity. Say it was used to treat psoriasis, a skin condition. None of this would have happened. None of this would have happened because there's such a horrible stigma around weight loss. There's such judgment, about weight and obesity. There's such a judgment. And even now, when we're 3 years into talking about this, when we've appeared on many radio shows, we've spoken to the likes of, you spoke to Dr. Crotty, I've spoken with the clinical lead HSE, Donald O'Shea, many times. I've met him many times. He's publicly come out and said from the very beginning, obesity is a disease and it requires treatment of which is these weight loss medications in certain people, those that have the anabolic adaptation. He appeared in Ireland AM, myself and Donald appeared in Ireland AM in June of 2023. So it was just coming up to a year of my anniversary, and I'd lost a significant amount of weight. And at the time, there was a lot of hate on it. There was a lot of people like, no, this is not the way we should be doing things. And so many people were coming out. He sat down on live TV and said, Ozempic works. There's your proof. Ashley is sitting here after losing 7 stone or 8 stone in the year. This is a revolutionary treatment for weight loss, and it works. Just look at her. And still, 3 years later, we still have people coming saying, no, you shouldn't be using this.
When were you on Ireland AM again? When did you say?
June of 2023. So it was a year after I started.
Right, okay. And how much weight had you lost in that first
I'd say
year?
it was probably about 6 or 7 stone. It was halfway through, because I lost 12 stone in 2 years. So I'd say it was a significant, I must see if I find the pictures from it and I send them to you, but it was a significant amount that I'd lost. And
the hate that you got then after appearing on that show, was it monumental? Like, was it more than you've ever had before? Or,
you know, I've spoken a lot about hate, but I haven't spoken about the support. Obviously, the support I got was unreal. I've gotten so much support, but the hate that I got, like people saying, shame on her, she should be ashamed of herself. Like, yeah, things have calmed down a little bit now, when it comes to the judgment, because a lot more people than now are accepting of this. Because the more people that are like us and that are using this medication and are showing the results and are showing that we have this medical condition, the more public bodies, the more, doctors that are coming out, the more people are accepting of this. And the more medications that are coming out, the more people are accepting. But there is still a stigma, and there is still a lot of hate around this. And this is something that we need in the weight loss community to break, because there's so many people out there that are suffering because of this judgment and are afraid and are so afraid just to make that one step.
I would have found that myself, because I was on Ozempic for quite a while, and now I've been on Mounjaro for quite a while. So the difference in the hate from being on Ozempic and being on Mounjaro is worlds apart, because I kind of felt when I was on Ozempic and I was sharing my story online, I always felt like every word I put out there was going to have a judgment on it, because I was stealing medication from the diabetics. But when I went on to Mounjaro, I felt a bit freer and a bit less muted, because it was a weight loss medication as opposed to a diabetic medication.
So we were both on the TV show, The Skinny Jab Revolution, with Catherine Thomas. And one of the things I know at that stage, we can always be worried about how things are going to come across. And again, that judgment from people and stuff like that. So how was that experience for you in terms of, I guess, what was shown, or what bits you might have been afraid of being shown, or response to stuff, or bits and pieces like that?
Yeah, so I think I had talked to you about this just a couple of days before the show went out, and I was chronically, I think Belinda, we talked about this as well, and I was very, very anxious, because I'd filmed for this back in September of last year, and I'd said, oh, people are going to be like, how is she so tanned? Because it was in the summer, like it was the end of September of last year when we filmed, September, October. I think I'd done 3 days of filming in 3 different locations. I remember doing the interview part, and a lot of it wasn't shown. Well, no, a lot of it was shown, like, of what I said, but I was really, really, really worried, because anyone that knows me, like, from social media will know that I'm a very open and honest person. Like, I would tell you the colour of my poo if I could, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a very open, I'm a very open and honest person. And obviously what I talked about earlier, when I talked about in my 30s, is not something I've ever spoken about publicly. And it's not something I'm going to online. It's different on a podcast, do you know what I mean? That message just popped up and it just threw me off, Belinda. Paddy's gonna have so much editing to do. Sorry, Paddy.
So no, we're going to include this. So Belinda has literally just put a message in the group chat for the podcast saying, I have to pee so bad. Can I switch off my camera? Can I switch off the camera for a moment? Belinda, you go do you. Me and Ashley will keep having the chats.
See ya.
But yeah, so we're talking about that piece about what's going to be shown, or the fear of what's going to be shown.
Yeah, so like a lot of things I spoke about, like, and a lot of things, like, I can't remember how it came up, but one of the questions was, are you a bit maybe obsessed with your weight loss, or maybe a bit obsessed with exercising? It was something like that. And I explained how my chronic fear, and it's something that always brings tears to my eyes, and it's weight gain, even as slight as pain. Like, even if, like, say yesterday I was 70 kilos, today I'm 70.5. I'm like, how the fuck would I put up half a kilo? I haven't. It's water weight, it's hormones, it's being a woman. It's not a weight gain. It's impossible unless I was overeating like 5,000 calories yesterday. And let me tell you, I haven't. But it's just a fear that I'm living with, and I'm still living with to this day, and I probably will for the rest of my life. And I was really like, and especially the gym section, where I spoke about like how I weigh myself 4 or 5 times a day, and how, I might go out and walk 30,000 steps a day just to try and maintain. Well, I think what a lot of people don't understand about me is that I have to keep up with my fitness. You probably agree with me as a personal trainer, or as a fitness person, as someone who has a degree or qualification in this, you might like understand what I'm saying with this. For me to maintain my weight, just maintaining by eating the correct amount of calories and using the medication is not enough for me. I have to be active in order to maintain, because if I don't, I'm always going to think, okay, I didn't get 10,000 steps today. I didn't even get 5,000. I'm going to gain weight because of anything that I might be eating. Like, even if I'm in my calorie deficit, and I know science-based facts proves that if you're in, your maintenance calories, if you're in a certain amount of calories, you're not going to gain weight, because it's science. But still, in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I haven't actually gone out and burnt any calories today, so therefore I'm going to gain them calories. Do you get me?
So
that was always...
and that's the bit I want to lean into then for a sec,
Yeah.
is so tying in with, I guess, the idea, maybe 2 themes there. One on closure and the kind of mental, the mental cost of when we hold on to things.
Oh, she's back to her.
Yeah. So that idea of the mental cost that when we're holding on to thoughts and feelings and trauma of things, and then maybe the mental side of the journey that we're all on and trying to progress through as well. One side of it is obviously the medication that all of us happen to be on. Not everybody needs to be on medication, obviously, for weight loss, but we are. Another part of that is the movement, which is really important as well. But then I guess the other side is that investment in the mental development and growth, and a part of that journey as well. Is that something that you have felt in a place to lean into yet? And what I mean by that is like through things like therapy or counseling to help get you, to help you feel, okay, if I'm not going to get closure via A, B, or C, or if I'm not able to put my mind at ease with some of these things where I currently am, then maybe this is a route that could help support me.
A lot of people have said that to me lately, not lately, but like I'm a very kind of, although I'm very, very open, I'm also a very closed book in the sense of like, God forgive me, but like if I've got something going on, I don't tell my partner. Like he literally has to like fish it out of me. I wouldn't just sit down and say, okay, this is how I'm feeling today. This is what's in my head. I keep everything to myself, although I'm very open on social media about other aspects when it comes to things that are going on with me, about how I'm feeling. Some stuff I will talk about, but a lot of stuff, like if you knew, you'd be shocked. Jesus Christ, you'd have to have therapy yourself. But I did speak about this a little bit on the show, where about my fear, this big fear of regain is consuming my life, and it is. And even though I've done all the hard work, and even though I know what I need to do to keep the hard work sustained, I don't have that closure. Like, when you've lost the weight, that part of that chapter should be closed, as in you've lost the weight, you've done that part, now focus on the rest of your journey. For me, that book is that part of the journey, that chapter is still fucking open, and I can't close it. And so many people did say to me, especially after the show, like everyone came for me after the show saying I've got an eating disorder, and that pissed me off so much, because I was trying to show the other side to weight loss journey that a lot of people don't see, and that's the fear, that a regain, not being able to accept your new body, and all these psychological things. And so many people are like, that girl needs fucking therapy.
Can I just interject there for 1 second? What was shown on the show to give people the impression that you had an eating disorder? Because I never got that. I didn't understand where that came from.
So it was, and I remember Paddy, I'd said this to you the day before, I was petrified of that being the synopsis.
The rhetoric, yeah.
Yeah. It was when we were doing the gym session and we were doing the interview part, and we sat down and she was just like, do you, like, now be honest, like how many times a day do you weigh yourself? And I was like, about 4 or 5 times. And she was like, a day? And this is Captain Thomas, like, and I was like, yeah, a day. I was like, I'd weigh myself first thing in the morning, like everybody does, each their own. And then maybe I'd have something to eat. And then maybe at lunchtime, I'd weigh myself again, just to make sure I hadn't gone up by too much because I've eaten. And then I'd go out and I'd do all my steps or whatever. And then I'd weigh myself again to see if that weight that I had gone up because I've eaten had come down because I'd done all my exercise. And I didn't realize, like, when you're talking with a camera in an interview for a show, you don't think that your words are going to have that sort of effect. That's not what I was getting at. That's the impression I gave, but that's not what it is. I was trying to show that what being overweight has left me with. That it's not just weight. Like, in so many people, and this is why I'm so passionate and I get so emotional, is because losing the weight is not the end of the story. Maybe for some people it is. Maybe for some people who didn't get so badly, deeply affected and had their life destroyed in their 30s. And being overweight is being a cause of one of, you know what I mean? There's, being overweight and having those effects, people don't realize that what you're left with. When you lose the weight, it's not just, yeah, I've lost the weight, my journey's over, I'm perfect now. No. Well, not for me anyway. This is from a personal experience.
So, I get more. And do you think, and this is something probably for all of us, because like, I guess I was saying to Belinda this week about, like, I know now I'm less than, I'd say, 2 stone away from my maintenance kind of period. I would imagine. But equally, I'm still only having flickers of when I look in the mirror on, oh, there's a thinner person, Yeah. But over the years, there has been periods of time through some of the relationship with food where I have leaned in with therapy. One of the main parts of it was for binge eating back in maybe 2000 2014, maybe 2015. The kind of the mental hold that food was having me at that stage. I'm not talking about food noise or anything like that. I'm talking about that the psychological side of how episodes of binging was having on me was so destructive, and I couldn't find. I felt like I was drowning. I couldn't find a way out of that space. And after sitting with it for a long time, I get a bit obsessive then when I decide, okay, I'm going to meet with somebody, see if I can find someone that is maybe an expert in behavior change, like an actual qualified therapist or that. So like I spent weeks then reviewing all of these different profiles of therapists and websites and all this kind of stuff. And I eventually decided on one that I thought I got good vibes from. Okay, is the best I'll describe it. And I was so cynical. I was like, this is going to be just another fad. This is a waste of money. Before I even went in, I was like, this is a waste. I don't know why I'm doing this, but at least then I'll be able to shut people up by saying, at least I've tried this thing as well. And the first session I went in, I was like, you can ask whatever you want, I'll answer. Like quite flippant, ask whatever. I'm open book, ask whatever. And that was a defense mechanism for me, definitely. And I would have answered anything, but it was definitely not from a place of, I think my barrier being down. It was more so almost a defense thing. So I did that and then went through like a next session, and they started, asking some of the probing questions, and I was like, this is why, what's going on here? This is uncomfortable. But we had good conversation. And I was emotional wreck for like the rest of that day, maybe days afterwards, thinking on things. But then they started giving me little tasks to do, little things to do that actually was reinforcing some positive things. And I spoke about this in one previous podcast as well. I think in season 1 at some point. But like there was one session in particular where they're like, Paddy, I just want you to tell yourself, you're awesome. Just tell yourself you're a good person.
I remember you telling me about this, yeah.
Yeah, and I sat there and I was like, what? And like the simplest thing, just tell yourself, and they're only words. And I sat there, it could have been, I don't know, maybe 4 sessions in or 5, I can't remember how many, but, and I sat there and I was there about 45 minutes, not saying a word. And she just held space, as we'll say, for me. And I was fidgeting, and you do that thing where you go to say something like and then stop, and then I would just burst into tears. And this was a cycle that was happening, and I was like, what is going on here? I do not understand this. And then at the end of the session, and not because we were up against time, and I was like, oh, this is going to cost more. But the words came out, and it was like some release of energy had just been taken from my mind, had been taken from my body, had been just... It's hard to describe how it felt, but I'm guessing it's what effective therapy can do when we're living with whatever it is that's in our head. And it meant that the sessions after that were very raw, but authentic and impactful. And that was 2014, 2015. And to this day, I've never had another episode of binge eating.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It did the thing for me that I couldn't do in terms of trying to get that years of held shit that was in my head about that was a trigger out and kind of dealt. And that's why I guess I'm curious to see if that could be something that could help with the closure side of things, or with the I don't know, with kind of the headspace.
Yeah, and I will say as well that I kind of went through that experience as well, where the scales was concerned, like yourself, Ashley. I was absolutely, it was just a torture device for me for so long. And it took me a whole year with my health coach, whole 12, 13 sessions, 14 sessions with my health coach, Nikki, to be able to get past that. And I actually, it was the last thing that I had dragging me down I know I got rid of the food noise, and I got rid of the binging and the, all the crap that comes with it. And it was just the scales that was still the one controlling factor about, that was going to control my emotions and control what kind of day I had and all the rest of it. And getting over the scales was one of my biggest breakthroughs. And I'm forever grateful to her for it. She was amazing. And now I just don't weigh myself anymore unless I'm in the gym and I'm doing an in-body scan, and that isn't even weighing myself. For me, that's to find out how my muscle mass is going, how my fat mass is going down. It's just information. I'm not really bothered about the number as I used to be, because I know that I am doing all the work. I'm doing all the good things all the time now. So yeah.
But that's the thing. Like Catherine had said to me, and I can't remember if it was Eric or not in the interview. We were in the bathroom. She was like, Ashley, that weighing scales, it just has a number on it. And I was like, yeah, but that's my number. And she goes, yeah, but why does that matter to you so much? And I just kind of looked at her and I was like, well, I don't know. And she goes, it doesn't define who you are. It doesn't make you the person that you are. It's nothing. It's just like you just said, information. Like, I am getting better with it. I do still, like, I'm not going to lie, I do still weigh myself every day, and sometimes twice a day. But that's
Can I just interject and ask, how did you find Catherine asking you those questions? Do you think she was supportive? Do you think she was, just trying to get out the answer from you? Or how did you find that conversation?
I find it really good. The way she asked her questions, she asked them in such a way like it wasn't just like, an interview thing. It was just like, it was like just like we're talking.
Conversation, yeah.
It was just like a conversation, like between friends. It wasn't like, forgot the camera was even there most of the time. But when I gave her my answers, and sometimes she was a bit shocked by the answer, but she incorporated that in such a way with her professionalism. And she then asked me another question on the basis of that answer, but it was done in such a way that it was done with care and compassion.
Yeah.
And it was done with real professionalism. The only thing that I didn't know, and that did shock me, was obviously because it was her filming that part and I was up in the apartment. She was outside. Was the part of the show where after we'd done the episode of the filming in my house or my apartment, and she'd gone down to her car, and you hear her say, I can't believe this. Like this girl's life is completely consumed. Like her life has been taken over by her weight. Like this is no way to live. I obviously didn't know about that part until it went to air, and I was just like,
yeah. And the reason I'm asking, I'm asking you that question is because I seen so much hate towards Catherine Thomas.
Yeah. And it was sad
just on that clip alone.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand it. Like, I was there, why is that? What? I thought that was a really good part of the program. Like,
and that's where a lot of the eating disorder comments came from, because, obviously Catherine is known for Operation Transformation, and we all know that Operation Transformation got cancelled last year. There was a lot of complaints and stuff, and a lot of people saw what she like an operation. You have to remember, Operation Transformation was a different era. It was before everything we know now, and a lot of people kind of come for her for that. And then now she's doing another thing to do with weight loss and skinny job, and obviously like the name. I did say when it came out, and I was like, oh, that's not a great.
But it is what it is. It's a hook. It is what it is.
It's a hook.
Yeah.
It's what a lot of people call them. Even my friends that are on Manjaro, on whatever, they do refer to it themselves as the skinny job. So
that's the thing. Like, and everyone is gonna catch, the name is gonna catch, and everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm on those skinny jobs, and it's like, oh my god, here we go. But I think that's where a lot of the eating disorder comments came from.
Got it. That was my original question. Yeah. Okay.
That's where like a lot of it, and I didn't think it was going to come from that scene. I thought it was going to come from the gym scene where I talk about weighing myself constantly, but people saw real and honest and raw emotion, really, because it was me weighing myself. I have not weighed myself because I was told not to. Well, I wasn't told not to. We decided not to weigh myself so that we could get a real honest reaction of me weighing myself after a couple of weeks for the show. And so that's what I stuck to. And when I had seen that I'd gone up by 5 kilos, when I tell you, I'm sure the whole nation heard my heart break at that point, because it broke. And it was a really hard thing to go through. And I kind of wish I had weighed myself before the show, before I'd filmed, so I kind of wouldn't have been so hurt. But anyway, it is what it is. But I think that's where a lot of the eating disorder comments came from, because a lot of people were like, she's devastated that she put on 5 kilos. That's a warning sign. That's a red flag. Then we have the gym scene where I'm talking about, where she's asking me, like, do I think that I'm maybe do I use my fitness as a tool because I'm obsessed with maintaining my weight. I'm obsessed with not gaining weight. And that word obsessed is another red flag, because that word obsessed, when you're obsessed with something within weight, when you're obsessed with food, it's either because you've got an eating disorder like, anorexia, or you've got an eating disorder like binge eating, which are both, So when people hear obsession, food, obsession, working out, they're automatically
It's eating disorder.
You look anywhere on that, if you see that clip anywhere online, you will see all the comments. This girl has an eating disorder. She needs to get help. She's got an eating disorder. She's got a anorexia. She's got this. She's got that. She's got ARFID, whatever. And it's just like, piss the fuck off. Because you know what? I work so fucking
seriously
hard. Yeah. I work so hard. I work so hard to get where I am, and I need to celebrate that. I need to be like, well done, Ashley. You've done all the hard work. And what I was trying to show by that is to show that there's more to a weight loss journey with these medications, with a metabolic adaptation. There's more to just losing the weight. That you're left with this thing. I'm battling on the daily to not gain weight. I'm battling on the daily to make sure I'm getting, and obviously I'm battling with my health as well. That's another side of things. And I can't get at the moment. I can't get out and get stuff done with my fitness, and that's really bad for me right now. And it's not that I'm obsessed with. And yeah, I do track calories. Yeah, I do. I'm not going to lie to you. I do pick up a piece of food and be like, that has 600 calories. I can't eat that. Not in one sitting anyway. And I know, a lot of people be like, that's a red flag for an ED. It's not. That's a green flag for making sure that I never get back to the way I was. And yeah, I do really, really hope that one day I'll be able to let go of that. I do hope one day I'll be able to go out for a meal and not be looking at the thing that I know has the least calories on the menu. That I could just fucking order the whole menu and not give a shit. I really hope I get to that stage one day, but I'm not there yet.
There's millions of people in the world that are living their life like that every single day, that are not on these weight loss medications. They're not on a weight loss or medical weight loss journey, And I spent my whole life doing that, what you're just talking about. I don't know, it never ends.
It is hard because it consumes you. And like Catherine was Whitewood said, it does consume me. And although the food noise is gone because I'm on these medications, I don't think about food like, what's it, 20, I haven't eaten yet. I'm not even hungry. I probably won't eat until later on this afternoon. If I wasn't on those medications, I probably would have had 1,000 calories by now. Because,
easy.
And what a lot of people don't realize is that how hard this journey is, not just losing weight, but maintaining the weight, and the psychological battle that you have with yourself every single day of, have I gained weight? Am I maintaining? Am I eating enough? Or am I eating too little? And it's just constant and it's consuming. And a lot of people do not understand this side to me. And a lot of people just want to come and say, oh, she's a cheater, or she's now got this ED. The headline was, Ozempic has given Ashley an ED. That's what everyone was saying online at the time. And that's another reason why I kind of pulled back. And it was only a month ago. It was only 5 weeks ago this happened. That's another reason why a lot of people might understand now after listening to this why I pulled back. Because that affected me. That really affected me, because I was trying to be this person online, the Ozempic girl that was known as. It's a girl who lost 50% of her body weight, and she's inspirational, and she's motivational, and she's gone back running, and she's doing this and she's doing that, to actually the Ozempic girl that Ozempic gave an ED to. But that's not true.
So keeping with that idea of, I guess, mental calmness or mental peace, and when you are on the other side of your journey, saying you're in maybe that maintenance or near maintenance or stuff like that, what do you think will it take for you to have peace in your mind, to not be worrying about, say, the scales, or not worrying about the calories, or even just closure on other aspects of life? What do you think will help there?
Accepting how I look now, I think, is the biggest one. And I think that's the problem. I cannot accept how I look now because I don't see it. I don't see what you see, or what Belinda sees, or what Dylan sees, or what Chloe sees. I don't see it. And even my best friend was like, Ashley, you're thinner than me. And I was always the thin one. You weigh less than me. You look like you weigh less than me. It's I can see your collarbone. I can see your ribs. I can see your hip bone. She's like, when are you going to realize that, you've done this? And I'm just like, well, I see fat there, I see fat there, I see fat here. When you think about losing 12 stone, you think, okay, oh, my stomach should be gone, and it's not, but it is. And all that I'm left with is loose skin. And I can't accept that. I still think, I can grab that and I'm like, oh my God, that's all fat, but it's not, it's just loose.
And that bit of grabbing the tummy, that's something I can relate to, because people say to me, don't be losing any much more. Now, I know I do have fat, and this is where I'm basing it on data from going for my DEXA scans and stuff, that I know my exact body fat percentage. But equally, I know I will have skin. I know I will have loose skin. But I guess in terms of, do you think in terms of helping you see what other people see then? And I'm asking this through interest from myself as well, because I know I probably
Same,
don't
yeah.
see, I don't see what other people see when they look at me, and I still see that. Do you think, though, is that something that counselling or therapy could help to move to that stage?
I think it's about changing the mindset. I think it's all in the mind. It's all psychological. I think if other people can see the work that you've done and can see the massive weight loss that you've had and can see how happy and healthy and glowing you are, why can't you? And the reason why you can't see it is because you for so long, I'm talking about me personally, but just in a third person, for so long, for nearly 2 decades, I was this big fat person, who could never wear nice clothes because they and could never, you guys have been through it. And I think that's all because I've spent so much of my life like that and seeing that now I'm in my head, I'm like, okay, I've lost all the weight. I know I've lost weight. I know my clothes, I know I'm a size small in clothes now, which is mind blowing. I know people are telling me I look amazing. They tell me I look great in photos and clothes. Why can't I see it? And it's because my mind is still back for the last 20 years. And I need to break that cycle. And it is psychological. I need to change that mindset. I need to start accepting it. I don't know where that's going to be. I don't know if...
Do you feel you're going to need help with that, Ashley?
No, I don't like, I know kind of where you're going and you're saying, like therapy and counseling and stuff and, getting the right tools, but it's not somewhere I'm there. It's not a point I'm at yet. I'm really, really hoping to avoid that. Not saying that therapy's bad, and it's not for everybody, and I don't think it's for me. Although I am very open and honest, and, although I've been through some traumatic things in my life that I very rarely talk about, I'm a closed book.
Have you ever tried therapy before? No. Okay.
And I think this is the thing, though, that everybody's journey will be different. Everybody's will be different. And it's important that folks find the journey that is right for them and on the timeline that's right for them. And this is the thing, that it's not a case of one size fits all. And it's not a case of, everybody needs to go and, work with a personal trainer and work with a registered dietitian. And as much as a huge fan I am of particularly the registered dietitian part, or that everybody should be going to get therapy, because everybody's lived experience is going to be different. Everybody's steps to progress is going to be different. And I think it's about... a big part of it, I guess, is about the realization of where we are and maybe sitting with that for a time to identify, right, well, what is the next step forward for us and what will that look like for us? Like, I don't know if I'll go to therapy to help my mind catch up. I think where I am now, increasingly I'm seeing little parts throughout the week, and I'm calling them glimmers, because I love this word glimmers that I found out recently, whereby there's little things that can happen throughout the day that maybe catch you off guard, or they just make you smile, or does it just make you go, oh?
When you see the changes.
Yeah, and that's one side of it. And that was one for me 2 weeks ago, and it was one of the first ones when I was in a stretching class in the gym, and I was right beside the mirror. And whatever way I look, it caught me by surprise, Ashley. I was in there doing whatever stretch we were doing, and I just looked to the right, and I was like, oh, I swear to God, in my mind, I went, who's that? And I was like, fuck.
That's you. Yeah.
That's me. And
that's what you need to see on the journey, is that you need that shock value to let it sink in.
Yes. So I now go by the mirror every time in that class now. So I do. So that I'm kind of trying to reinforce. That's one of the little things that I've started doing to try and help my mind, I guess, with that is, as I say, and even before we started recording here, and it was Belinda's here, I was standing up and I was coming back over, and I stood to the side and I was patting myself down. I was like, oh, look, I look.
And I said to you, what are you doing?
What are you doing? And I was like, I'm just
checking myself out.
Yeah, I was like, look, I just
check.
Yeah, it's just, it's mad. So I think, and thank you for being so honest with that, because I do love the insights of where people's head is at and what they see their future maybe being, or where they are in their journey.
And after such a dramatic change as well, because yours is the most dramatic. Person. Yeah. That's 50% of your body lost.
50%, yeah, 12 stone. The thing about me, I was 22 stone when I started, and I got to 12 stone. Yeah, 50%. But the thing about me, and I know it's silly, but especially being on social media, it's I'm very not people pleaser, but very I care what people think about me, even though strangers. And I think obviously I love all the support that I get because it's overwhelming. But when I get hate, I kind of feel I retreat back into myself. And obviously I did get a lot of hate after the show. it's kind of a reason why I've been kind of MIA for the last while. I just decided, you know, look after yourself, always look after number one. If something doesn't feel right, then just take a break from it. Like, and it's not that it didn't feel right, but it was just, I found it hard. I've always wanted, when I shared this journey, to be that person, you know, the Ozempic girl that lost all this weight. If I can do it, you can do it. You can do anything you put your mind to. And that's what I became. And that's kind of like what I wanted. And then all the hate where people were coming from me saying I have an ED, and now you're spreading these rumors that Ashley has an OD from weight loss medication, took away from what I originally was supposed to be. And that was a really hard thing for me to accept, because I was really afraid, like even on stories, even posting a reel where like, and I was talking about my weight loss, where people are going to be like, oh yeah, but you got an ED as well. But like, I didn't. But that's what people think. And you can't change people's, you know, when people have a thought in their head and they go with that, you can't change the way they think. You know, it's spread. And I just didn't want to be that person. I wanted to be the original person. So I'm trying to bring that person back. But people have their own opinions. And
you can't control the narrative of people's brains.
You can't. And the other thing I'd say is that in our heads, when we're on social media and we look at stuff, firstly, a lot of the time it'll be those negative voices can seem the loudest because they're the ones that'll have a bigger reaction with us. But like you're, say, even if just like I don't like leaning on like say numbers as a thing, but if you look at, say, you're nearly at 10,000 followers, right? So say even say even you got 100 comments, right? Say you got 100 comments, right, from people that were like not positive, right? Yeah. There's still over 9,000 people there that are not being negative about you, and that are still. And I was saying this to Belinda recently. We were talking just about Instagram and some of the crap that goes on there in the back end when you're a content creator with Meta and stuff like that, and reach and stuff like that. I was saying, but remember, you still have the majority, 90%, 99% of the people who are following you are still following you because of why they started following you, and because they support you, and because they love you, and because they want to see you succeed, and they have that interest. You'll have that small portion that are following you because they hate you. There's nothing else to do.
They want to see you fail.
But they're the ones now that I use as ammunition. Like, all right, you know what, leave a comment. I'll use it for content. Yeah, feck yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it is about in our mind. I think coming back to something Belinda mentioned a good while ago, that idea of like Mel Robbins and let them. I do think that is definitely something that is a useful mindset in terms of online, and particularly those people that, you know, might be negative. Fuck them, let them do whatever makes them fucking happy. Like, but don't forget that you still have the majority of your following and your people online who look up to you, who are inspired by you, who do get hope from your story. Exactly. Yeah.
And they're there for you.
Yeah. Don't let the minority of negative voices rule out the majority of inspiration and the people that are there with you.
I think sometimes you kind of forget that as well, because like when you're getting so much hate, like, and it affects you personally, I think you kind of forget that other part of it.
Yeah.
Like for every one hate comment, you probably have 100 positive comments. And you have to look at like the fact that I've got so many people, you know, and I'm so, like, to anyone who's listening to this, I do apologize wholeheartedly. I'm really bad at replying to DMs. I'm so sorry. They always go into my requests and I never see them. God forgive me. I'm so sorry. I will get better at it, I promise. But so many people would message me on the daily, like, and just like, you look amazing, you're fantastic, you know, just like messages of support and things like that. And you have to just remember that like a hate comes from someone who's in a very unhappy place themselves, someone who's got their own issues, and they're taking it out on people online because they
hurt people hurt.
They can hurt people. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You know, you don't have to face the confrontation because you're doing it from behind a keyboard. It's not as if the reason why you wouldn't, like Paddy was saying earlier, the reason why you wouldn't give that hate comment to someone you saw on the street, because you're not going to do it to their face. You're going to do it from behind a screen or behind a keyboard where they can't see you and they can't start a confrontation with you.
Yeah.
So if we think to the future, and if we think to actually, I just want to touch on as well, it was phenomenal to see you recently did a collaboration with a brand for your love of running. We haven't even touched on your love of running and how much you do that, which is phenomenal. Particularly like
congratulations on that, Ashley. It was amazing.
I loved seeing it, and I loved that they included you, because I saw some of their other campaign and stuff like that as well. And again, that for me was great to see. Here's a brand that's recognizing somebody that, yes, has had a journey, but that also is a legitimate person in the world of fitness in this aspect of running. And I think that's something that, you know, I hope you celebrated too, because that was really, really brilliant to see. So it was too.
It was a huge achievement for my journey. Like, to go from being morbidly obese to losing all the weight to getting back into running, to bringing the running back into my life at 38 or 37, whenever I went back into it, to be training for half marathons and mini marathons and runs, to then being recognised by a huge brand, which is a huge brand in Ireland, for the running community. Everybody knows who they are. And to do filming with them, it was just icing on top of the cake.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. Well done. What is the future for Ashley O'Driscoll?
Future for me is, I don't even know. I just take every day as it comes. Plan, like, goals wise, you know, I've got the mini marathon 1st of June. That's the plan. I have my procedure now on 21st of May. So when I have that done, my health's going to be back 100%. It's going to be clear. I'll get the all clear. I'm great, delighted with life. It's been a long 2 years of my health. And it's just to run. Like, it's just to, like, I would like to kind of do some kind of like fundraising. Cancer is a very, very big, it's a very big thing in my family. I lost my uncle there 9 years, 9 years ago, this February just gone. He literally got diagnosed on Christmas Eve and he was gone on the 20th of February. He was a massive, massive, massive part of my life. And something that gets me very, very emotional when I talk about him or I think about him is the fact that, like, he was my best friend. He was the type of cool uncle where he'd bring you out drinking like when you're 17. Do you know what I mean? Give you your first fag, give you your first brandy. And he did. And like, I came from a, like, you know, not a very strict family, but like there was no underage drinking around like that. We didn't go drinking in the fields and get caught, or, you know, the usual when you're younger. But I remember when I was 17, he was over. Originally, like, they're from Glasgow, but he moved to Brighton. He spent, like, he had his kids over there. He spent up most of his life over there. But he'd come over every so often and we'd be down in the club in Dalkey drinking. You probably won't know because you're not from Dublin, but people will know what I'm talking about. And I remember we went out one day and it was I was 17 and he was like, here. I was like, what the fuck is that you're giving me? He goes, it's the brandy. And I was like, you know, I'm only 17. He goes, yeah, don't tell your ma. Because he's my mum's brother. And I was like, okay. And he goes, are you smoking yet? And I was like, yeah, don't tell your ma. Here, have a smoke with me. And I just remember because it was like the cool older brother, uncle kind of thing. And he was always a big, big part of my life. Like, and he'd ring me every Saturday and he'd be like, how's my favourite niece now? I have 11 uncles, aunties and uncles on my mum's side of the family and on my dad's side. A lot of them are gone now, but huge, huge family. And I remember we lost him. Like, it was probably one of the worst things I've ever gone through. And I lost a lot of my family, but him especially killed me. And I often wonder, like, when I think about him, like, he didn't get to see me do all this. He didn't get to see me lose all the weight. He didn't get to see me do so well with social media. He didn't get to see me raise my daughter and be a great mum and be a great single mum at that. I've raised her singly for 16 years because I'm not married. Technically, in the eyes of law, I'm a single mum. You know, he didn't get to see me do a lot of things. And I often wonder why he would think. So for me, because he died of cancer, my best friend Robin, her mum died 10 years ago of cancer. And that, again, was one of the most traumatic things I've ever been through. And, you know, she was like a mum to me. So I kind of want to do something to kind of honor them. So, like, I don't know, is it going to be like running 100 kilometers in a month or running something? I just need to, I don't know, it's something I need to think about. I need to do something really big to celebrate them, but also to maybe raise some money for the Irish Cancer Society.
And you're in the best position possible now to do that, you know?
I just want to do something to especially honour my Uncle Eamon because he was such a massive part of my life. He was my best friend. He was everything to me. And then obviously my best friend's mum, Catherine, I just want to do something to honour both of them because they're both very big parts of my life and they're no longer here. And I just know that if they were here, they'd be so proud of me.
Can I ask you one question, Ashley? If you could do one thing differently in your journey so far, what would it be?
Wow.
Looking back over the past few years and the whole 12 stone loss, what would you have done differently if you were starting out again today?
I would have no regrets and I would not put so much pressure on myself to be something that everybody thinks I should be. You know, a lot of the time I was like, okay, I should be losing this amount every week. I should be losing that amount every week. Go with the flow. Go with your body. I would not put so much pressure on myself. If it took me 6 years to lose the 12 stone, it doesn't matter. You lost it. I think what I would do differently as well I would have still posted about it, but I don't think I would have been so maybe honest about it because I think I was too honest. And I think when I was too honest, I think a lot of people thought that that was an opportunity for them to be in my life and say their things. And, you know, maybe like I would have still been honest about the side effects and all that, but certain aspects of it, I don't think I should have kept to myself because it really opened the door for people to be like, well, we know you now, we can say what we like about you and we can come for you. But yeah, just to have no regrets. And I don't have any regrets. And if anyone wants to know any aspect of my journey, or if anyone is like, oh, you should talk about this. Like, that's another thing I'm struggling with at the moment is what to talk about because everybody knows my story. And that's something everyone says to me when I go to appear on TV. Oh, we don't know if we want to use you because everyone knows about you. Everyone knows your story. And like when it comes to that content, it's like, what do I post about? Because everyone knows my before and after. Everyone knows.
You just post about your daily life. That's it. Yeah. That's all you can do. You know, you're living the life like you are still in this journey.
I am, and it's probably going to be a
'Cause I
lifelong
have-
journey.
Because I have that thought as well. Like I'm over 2.5 years into it now. I'm not at my goal weight yet, but it's close, you know. But then your story changes to maintaining on a weight loss medication rather than being in a fat loss phase, you know. So you just have to keep evolving. Your content has to keep evolving through your own story, you know.
Well, that's it. Like, and I'm also trying to bring it, like, I'm trying to bring something else to social media as well, and not just be about Ozempic and about the weight loss. Everybody knows me for that. But who knows the real Ashley? Who knows her real love and her real interests in life? Nobody, because I don't talk about it.
Yeah.
People are starting to understand that one of my biggest passions in life is running. And it's because I love running. It's just something I love. And I've always loved it. But it was such a long period of my life where I couldn't do it. And I never want to go through that again. I never want anything to get in my way of achieving my goals in life or achieving something that I want to do. But I just want to bring like another part of me to social media, maybe a part that people haven't seen before. So I suppose that's what I'm going to do over the next 6 months by running, and just bring
And that's what you're
a whole new
passionate
aspect.
about.
That's it, yeah.
Yep.
So just keep that going.
Cool. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Brilliant.
Really, really, really appreciate it. I say something that we have tried for a long time to kind of pin in, and we got this date booked in the diary, literally in the diary like weeks ago. We're like, we're keeping it. And just send reminders to each other to make sure that we remembered that it was.
Well, that's a lie. It's just me. Everybody was reminding. It's an absolute lie. I was over in the library half an hour before this, and I got a notification say you have a podcast in half an hour, and I went, oh, I better go home then.
And this is after a reminder this morning already. Ashley, you are a hugely inspirational person. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. If people want to find you on Instagram, where do they go?
Ashley O'Driscoll _ is my Instagram name.
Cool. And any other platforms or anything you're using at the moment? Or?
No, I don't use TikTok anymore. Just, only Instagram at the moment. And then if anyone wants to check out my podcast, it's on Spotify, Ozempic and Me.
Cool. Okay.
I will bring it back. I promise. It's coming back soon.
Ashley, thank you so much for coming on. That was absolutely brilliant. And we're so proud of you. So
we
proud.
Are.
Yeah, we really are.
None of this conversation should be taken as medical advice for you. Before starting or changing any medical or wellness treatment, always consult your GP and medical care team.